Hey, what is going on, everybody? And I hope you're all enjoying the fact that you have to shard farm and gear characters like Nick Fury and Winter Soldier, which means, of course, Kree minions and all of that fun. No, don't worry, it's not fun at all. But this is what got me to start thinking, you know, if this is possible for characters such as these, then maybe this might happen again. Actually, there's probably a good chance that it will, since Scopely and Boundless, they like to be somewhat predictable at times. So I want to talk about all of the characters that I believe are forgotten, underused, and underfarmed, who I think that you all should be careful about, and make sure that you have them at least at 5-star or higher, so something like this doesn't happen again, and you're a bit better prepared for future legendary unlocks that might use these characters. We know that it's possible to single name drop characters like Winter Soldier, so who's to say they won't do it again with other crappy ones? And that's exactly what we're talking about today, so strap in tight, and let's get this show started. Alright, so here we are in the roster screen of my game, and this is going to be in no particular order, but I've picked out a handful, about a dozen or so characters that I think really have not a lot of use currently in the game, a lot of them which people aren't even bothering to farm, and for very good reason, because a lot of them are useless. Now, if I do have them geared up at all, it's because I'm a very veteran player, I've been playing for about 3 years, and for one reason or another, because maybe they were useful like 2 years ago, that I do have them geared up a little bit. So because Nick Fury was a requirement for Omega Red, I want to talk first about legendary characters that could rear their head again. And we can't do that without talking about Iron Man. Now, even I only have him at Gear Tier 10. He is the worst legendary character in the game, but how do you unlock him? You unlock him via shield characters. I don't know if he's going to see a rework anytime soon. I don't know if it matters, but the fact is he is a permanently available legendary character, and you can unlock him at your leisure. That being said, whether or not this ends up being the case, it's hard to say, because a lot of the shield characters that you can use to unlock him, you might have a reason to get them up, and therefore easier to get Iron Man. I think with the likes of Nick Fury, the Kree minions are a lot worse, so there really was no reason to get them up. But Iron Man you might be able to just get, just from sheer orb accumulation, and maybe some early game farming as well. But I wanted to point this out. Again, a useless legendary character. Who knows? Maybe it might happen. The other legendary character, there's actually 2 more on this list that I want to talk about legendary-wise, is Magneto. Now, Mags is not very important to the game's meta at all anymore. Now, he was a very solid choice for Alliance War, but nobody's really, I don't think newer players are really going out of their way to unlock him anymore. And my baby account, I don't have Magneto yet, but there's just no real reason to gear him, right? I mean, at least right now. So I think if Magneto becomes permanently available, which I think, in terms of permanently legendary available characters, Magneto is, I believe he's in the increased frequency, same with Star-Lord, but I think that one of them are probably likely to become permanently available next. Star-Lord is not on this list of characters because I think that due to his ability to buff Gamora, with the passive, I think that just maybe more people are likely to unlock Star-Lord than they are for Magneto. That being said, Magneto has a very easy unlock method, in my opinion, with Brotherhood and X-Men characters. There's a lot of them now, so it's not too difficult to do this. A lot of the Astonishing X-Men actually qualify for unlocking Magneto, I think, as well, because it's just flat X-Men characters. So there's maybe not. Maybe Magneto won't be it, but who knows, right? If Nick Fury can be it, why not Magneto? That being said, like I said, there is more characters you can use to unlock Magneto than there is for Nick Fury, but just wanted to raise that. Something else, this could be kind of interesting, Phoenix. So interestingly, you can use Phoenix to unlock Magneto because she is an X-Men character. However, the unlock criteria for Phoenix still is 6-star villain mystic controllers. A lot of those characters are well removed from the game's meta now, so a lot of people aren't really going out of their way to unlock Phoenix anymore because you don't really need her for a lot of content anymore. So for Dark Dimension 3 Global, where she was primarily used for, there's a lot of other options now. We have Secret Avengers, we have Ghosts, and so on and so on. So you don't really need to unlock her, and even for Dark Dimension 4 Legendary now, there's going to be other characters that you can use. You don't have to do Phoenix. So I could see Phoenix being a requirement, especially at 6-star, or unless they might dumb it down to 5-star, but regardless, you're still going to have to get characters like Ronin, you know, Hela, Loki, Mordo, and Nobu and Hand Assassin, right? These are terrible characters to unlock Phoenix, with the exception of, you know, Hela. But not everyone is going out of their way to do Asgardians anymore either. So I don't see this being at a 6-star. I think they might remove, at some point, Phoenix down to a 5-star unlock, but this doesn't remove the fact that there's a lot of characters in there to unlock her that have no use in the game's current meta. Completely random as well. Not really any team synergy there, so I think that Phoenix could make this list. Now, that's everything that I'm going to say for legendary characters. One character I want to point out, and this is because I have her really high, but nobody else really does, is Squirrel Girl. So this could be a completely random, you know, they plopped in Winter Soldier right in the text. So who's to say that they couldn't do this for Squirrel Girl? Not a lot of people are gearing her up. In terms of where she is available, she is node farmable on Doom 2.6. The reason why I bring this up, the characters that we're going to talk about here are characters that are available primarily on nodes, because Winter Soldier is a node farm, I'm pretty sure. And he's not, I don't think, available in other, like, Greek raid orbs. I don't believe. So we're going to be talking largely people who are node farmable, not in Greek rates orbs typically, and not in the stores, because that, you know, Blitz store, Arena store, raid store, because that would make them very easy to farm. So we want to talk about characters that are not used in the game's meta really, and characters that are node farmable. So Squirrel Girl definitely hits that. We're not going to talk about the characters individually and why, you know, like the kits and all that, that's not important, but characters that people kind of just forgot about, you know, the characters that these could be usable in the future, and we don't know, right? Whether it's in 3 months time, in 6 months time, you know, it's possible. So my point of this video is to really get you guys to think about this, and if they're not at 5-star or higher, do that, just to make sure that if this happens again, whether it's Nick Fury or whether it's a legendary, whether it's a you know, a Winter Soldier type character that nobody uses, then at least you're ready for that, because that's kind of the lessons that we're learning here with Omega Red. So moving on, we could always just scroll across the top here. This is from my highest power to lowest. Vision, another decent character, but felt far removed from the meta now. Like, nobody uses Vision. He might get a rework, it's hard to say, but, you know, he is node farmable. He actually has 2 nodes, I think. He has Nexus 3.9 and Mystic 3.9. Nexus 3.9 is significantly easier than Mystic 3.9. I have a feeling that he's going to get removed from Mystic 3.9. A lot of the characters with 2 nodes are slowly being removed in favor of someone else. So I could see this being removed to give this away to someone else in the near future. So keep in mind about Vision that if he does lose this node, he's only going to have this one, and not a lot of people are going out of their way to farm him because he's not used in anything. He has the Avenger tag, but other than that, he has no other real tags, not used in any major events. So Vision is definitely on that list for me. I mean, again, as a veteran player who's been playing for about 3 years, you know, I have a lot of these characters already, but you guys might not. Cyclops, I kind of wanted to do this. I know he's an X-Men character, but I kind of wanted to do this alongside Phoenix. I don't know, maybe like Nick Fury and Winter Soldier, you might get like Phoenix and Cyclops. That being said, you know, Cyclops also can be used to unlock Magneto, just like Phoenix. So I'm not saying all 3 of them would be usable in an event. I'm just saying that this could be possible. Cyclops isn't really a character that people are going out of their way to farm. He is in the raid store, so this goes against something I already said. But not a lot of people are going out of their way to gear him, because I don't think Uncanny X-Men are really that important anymore, and I don't think people are, with how saturated mutant characters are, I don't think people are going out of their way to gear this. So I think Cyclops is the only one on this list from the Uncanny X-Men other than Phoenix. Scientist Supreme, and by extension Graviton, is also on this list. Nobody's really doing AIM anymore, and it's hard to say, because if MODOK comes out, that might make these characters more relevant and therefore not a part of this. But I don't think a lot of people are really going out of their way to farm AIM anymore. I think that they're not really all that usable. There is a section of villains 7.1 to 7.3, but realistically, there's Hydra as an option as well, so you don't have to do this either, and you know, you don't really need to gear AIM anymore. So I think that puts them on the list for possible choices down the line if MODOK does not come out, or hell, maybe they're usable to unlock MODOK, but maybe that's too simple. Winter Soldier's on this list. Jessica Jones, another one who's been kicked out of the Heroes for Hire, or Defenders, or whatever. I mean, she was never Heroes for Hire. But she was kicked out of the Defenders with the addition of Shang-Chi, and so she doesn't really have a place. People probably aren't actively farming her. She is on a node, she's in Villains, and that's really about it. She's usable in the Block Party event, but the Block Party event is every 2 months, so it's not really all that important. So Yeah, who knows? Maybe for newer players, you know, this is going to rear their head and people aren't going to have Jessica Jones ready. Possible. Moving on, we have Graviton, of course. So I talked about that, so that's about the same as Scientist Supreme, I'd say, both of them. It could be together, could be separate, who knows. But yeah, Graviton is a War Store character, so War Store is one of the few exceptions here, even though Cyclops is in the Raid Store, because War Store is very saturated with characters for now, and it's not something that you want to go out of your way to farm Graviton for out of that. Nick Fury, of course, because of Omega Red. Groot. Now, this is the standalone. I'm not including Rocket, because Rocket is in the Raid Store. Now, Groot, far removed from the meta. He is a Guardians, though. But in terms of a standalone character, he is available in Nexus 2.9 on the Shard Farm. Again, I really don't think people are going out of their way to Shard Farm this character because nobody, you know, you need to use him kind of with Rocket, but I don't think anyone's really using the Rocket Groot combo anymore unless they get a rework. There was a rumored rework with Star-Lord, Rocket, and Groot. If that happens, maybe this won't happen. But again, another character to make sure that you have at 5-star. Now, moving on, Doctor Strange. There's a reason why I'm wanting to talk about this. A, he is on a node. He is actually in the... Okay, my mistake. He is in the Alpha Raid Orb. I didn't know that. I should have checked that before I added him to the list. Shard farmable on a node, but he is getting a What If costume. Now, as of recording this video, this isn't out, and so I'm wondering, is this even coming this patch or not? I don't know. It does look really cool. I don't know if costume means anything at all. I almost wonder... Would they ever make that a requirement for a legendary event in the future? I really hope not. But yeah, Doctor Strange, who knows, right? Very far removed from the, you know, Supernatural. Never really went off its, you know, it was not really an amazing team. It was an interesting team, but not a really over-the-top amazing team. I hope they do get a rework in the near future. But I wonder, you know, Doctor Strange, could he be usable for a future legendary event? For Morbius or I don't know, some other supernatural characters that might be on this team, or who knows, right? You know, never know. It could be completely random. Could be Doctor Strange and who am I thinking? And Spider-Man, right? You know, from Far From Home, the movies. Who knows, right? It could be literally anything. Red Skull. Okay, so he is a Shard Farm character. He is on a node in Doom War 1.6. Nowadays, I don't think people are going out of their way to farm him either, because I just kind of think he's kind of past his prime, if he ever had a prime. He is a decent character. I just don't think people are really investing in him, and I'm really not going to go beyond where I'm at right now anyways, unless there's a reason to. But, you know, who's to say that he might not show up for an event as well? You know, it could be standalone, just for Red Skull. Because he is a pretty important character in the sort of lore and in the Marvel universe, so I could see him being a standalone mentioned character, you know, down the line as Red Skull. So just, you know, make sure. Try to get him to 5-star. You never know. And then we have a few left. Ultimus. Now, he is a bit I want to say more challenging unlock, but he's actually a lot easier to get out of his Ultimus Orb than he was before. You can get tons more shards in there before. If you've seen any of my orb openings for Ultimus Orbs, you know that the center drop can drop a lot of these Ultimus shards. So, I don't know if this would happen or not. He doesn't really have any... He's a Kree, doesn't really have any fancy traits otherwise, but he is an important character in the sense of Marvel Strike Force, the story. I know we've moved on from Ultimus, you know, the Ultimus raids, the story chapters that had him in it, because we moved from Ultimus to Doom as the major threat, but who knows that he might show up again, or there might be a reason because people are forgetting about him, that people might just, you know, he might be required, and then therefore it would be challenging for newer and mid-game players who might not have so many max 7-star characters and therefore can't get Ultimus up to the required level. War Machine. This is kind of hand-in-hand with Iron Man a little bit. He is also in the Raid Orb, but he's really not usable anywhere else. I doubt that people are really building power armor anymore. I think that's been well forgotten at this point. And so this is possible, probably less possible than some of the other options, I would say. Who knows, maybe an Iron Man War Machine duo as a requirement, plus some other characters. Never know. That being said, he is in the Raid Store, so he is a bit easier to obtain, at least for 5 stars, because you just pull a crap ton of Raid Orbs and you're probably going to get him eventually. Bullseye. There's only a few more left. Bullseye. So he is usable in Payday, because he is a merc. And he is... also in the... Oops, he's in the Beta Raid Orb. Okay, so maybe forget what I said before. It seems like that's not the case. Anyways, outside of the Beta Raid Orb, he is farmable in Heroes 4.9. So is this, you know, one node, again, slow farm, probably, if you're looking for a Bullseye. But again, you're probably not going out of your way to farm Bullseye, because as a character, he's not very good. And as far as Mercs go, there are better 5 than Bullseye, I think, to add to that list. You have Deadpool, you have Taskmaster, Killmonger, and realistically, even Merc, Lieutenant, and Riotguard are probably better choices, because you can get them a bit easier. So, yeah, Bullseye kind of falling down the wayside. Might be a city villain unlock for an event, maybe. Yondu, a character who was at his prime around global launch, very strong character. I even have T4s in his passive. That being said, has absolutely no use now. I don't even have him at tier 12, so the fact that I would have to maybe take him up to tier 14 for a new Mythic Legendary event, and, you know, put some ISOs on him, that makes me cringe. And as cringe as Winter Soldier, so I think this is actually a pretty good option here, and he is farmable only on a single node. He's nowhere else. So yeah, for you newer players and mid-game players who don't have Yondu up to 5-star, maybe you should, because this is a possibility. Who knows? If Winter Soldier can be up there, almost anyone can. But these are, I think, these are the types of characters that I wanted to share that I think just people really are forgetting about. And last but not least, Elsa Bloodstone, also part of the Supernatural team alongside Doctor Strange. Could be single name dropped, who knows? Who knows? She is available on a node as well, however, she is in the Alpha Raid Orb. So, you know, there is a bit, a higher chance that you can get shards for her, but nobody is actively shard farming her either. The Supernatural team, like I said about Doctor Strange, are kind of falling down the wayside, and so no real reason. That is some of the top characters, I think. I looked through my entire roster, I was like, you know, are people not farming, people not using really anymore? And those are the best characters that I could come up with. Now, Winter Soldier himself, yeah, he is, again, he's only on a single node, so that's kind of interesting. And it forces you to have to gear them up to gear tier 12, 13, and 14 for a Mythic Legendary event for 5-star, 6-star, and 7-star, and putting ISOs into it. So it doesn't make me happy that I have to do this, and I did this recently as well. And I'm gonna the fact that I'm gonna have to take him to gear tier 14 honestly makes me a bit sick. Although that will be down the line when I do get to 7-star eventually. Probably not for like 6 months from now, I suspect. But I don't like the idea of having to do it at all. So these are the top characters, I think, that are probably some of the worst choices in the game. However, characters that you should think of, not all of them are bad, I guess some of them are okay. But these are the ones that you should think about that might be required in the future. If you don't have them at 5-star, do try to get there. That way you're safe. That way you know that if this happens again in the future, which it probably likely will, then you'll be good. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if I'm just absolutely nuts or crazy. But based on what we've seen, I think anything's fair game. So until next time, stay safe and see you all, stand healthy, and see you all later. Got ahead of myself a bit there. Boilon, signing out.